we come from, creation, the one frequency, our natural state, we are in complete resonance. So our frequencies are really high, our energy system is flowing beautifully. And what happened is that we separated from that one natural state and we pulled away. And as we did that, we collected through society, through religion, through our family lines, through traumas, through all these experiences in our lifetime. We've collected heavy frequencies that have weighted us down. And because of that, it's necessary to clean up our space. So our space is that electromagnetic field that's arm's length all around us, and it's become really cluttered with these imbalances, these weighty frequencies that we unknowingly, most of the time unknowingly, we've taken them on. We'll know if we have them or not because of the way we feel. Most of us feel heavier, or we're experiencing fear, or we feel anxiety, or we're wondering why we're stuck, or we're wondering why we're unlucky. All of these things. It's because we need to clean up our space. And so that's where frequency work comes in. And that's why it's necessary for everybody who really wants to grow in that inner space, really grow. So their relationships, their family relationships, their intimate relationships, their work relationships, all relationships can start really having that deep, meaningful flow again. So that's what clean up your space means, and that's why it's necessary. Frequencies are an amazing tool to clean up our space. And I actually think it's the most efficient way to clean up our space. It's like natural law, or the universal law, that the higher frequency always overrides the lower frequencies because it's just resonating faster, more efficiently, clearer, more brilliantly. We want to use frequencies to allow ourselves to naturally, it's like the frequencies, the higher frequencies will burn away the lower frequencies. That's what I see. And so when you're in a place with higher frequencies, it could be nature, it could be with a person who's really gone deep within themselves and really released and purified their electromagnetic space. Being in the presence of these things, so you could be in meditation, listening to high frequency music, in nature, with a baby, with animals, all the things that are really pure. When they're really pure, it means that they're of a higher frequency. And so you would come into union together. You could be sitting together or just, being in the same space, and automatically all the lower frequencies will just start falling off of you. So no words are needed. No touch is needed. It's just the natural law that the higher frequency overrides the lower, it kicks it out, and then the work really comes later is to how do I stay there. But it's really great for people to experience that feeling of what a high frequency feels like, because what I find a lot of the time is they feel really calm. They feel almost like a warmth, like they're being wrapped by this beautiful blanket of a remembering. Frequencies, yes, we can do other things, and I see that as like a country road. You can take a country road by using other things. You could use drugs, you could use gurus, you can use these other things, mindset, you can do that, you can use mantras, you can use all these other things, and that's fine. There's not anything necessarily wrong with that, but the fastest way to expedite your shift is with frequencies, because it can happen in an instant. And people can just release what they no longer desire and what no longer serves and what was never them to begin with. So you've cleaned up your space, and now how do you keep that space, that beautiful, who you truly are, how do you keep that clear and clean? Discipline and focus and desire, the truest type of desire. So we want to start watching the words we're speaking. Are we putting ourselves in a corner by the way that we're speaking to us and to others? We want to watch our thoughts. We want to just start editing from that real wisdom, like the witnesser. We become the observer as we've cleaned up our space. So we're able to have a little bit of separation from, the immediate, that victimhood. We're now like more expansive. So we have that ability to witness and observe ourselves, our human avatar. We're able to observe that. And so as we observe that, we watch our words, we watch our thoughts, and we watch our actions. We look at our intention behind everything that we do, and we start pulling back. When we see something, because of that, we see, hey, that wasn't a clear intention on my part. How could I do that better next time? I often say that if I say something or do something in my life that feels slightly off or out of alignment or not in integrity, I'll take 3 steps back and I'll say to the person, place, or thing, hey, can I do that again? And I'll recreate it and correct it so that person feels, blessed because it's more in integrity. And more than anything, that we feel that, wow, I did that from a higher standpoint. So the other part of keeping our field clear is we start to have discernment, and we need to really pay attention to that. So all of us have intuition. That gut feeling where it's like something feels off, or it feels kind of creepy or askew. The clearer we become, the more that opens up for us and the more discerning we become. But we need to listen to that, because we could have people coming back into our lives or giving us business offers, or tempting us with something that feels like too good to be true. That discernment is so important for us to use as a compass. Is this where I want to go? Do I want to venture into something that I've already done before and it always drags me down? Or do I want to stay, in integrity with myself? So, we watch for all of these things. And again, what I find is that saying no is great in those situations. And we can just do it in a way that we'll see that it doesn't have to become, the clearer you become, the less drama involved. Let's just put it that way. The clearer you become, the less drama involved. You can say no, but because you're in a higher frequency, it's like there's not an argument that will ensue. We don't want to drop down to where the person, place, or thing is asking us or tempting us or seducing us. We don't want to go down there. We want to stay in the higher witnessing, observer resonance, and we say, no, thank you. And what will happen is that I find that people that I know, we're able to just walk away, and it feels so amazing to be able to do that, because that's who we naturally are. We are able to see yes and no. We hear it very, very clearly, and we act upon that. We continue to always act upon that. When we hear it, we don't, it's like we don't dishonor ourselves. When we get a clear signal that something's not going to be great for us, we stop and we really listen, and we no longer ignore that, and we make the choice that is of the highest for you. That's the key. And you'll see that you really get your wings that way. You really start flying and flowing because you keep choosing yourself. You keep saying, you know what? I'm going to do it my way this time. I'm going to do it in the way that I'm being guided to do by your higher self. Remember that. Your higher self with creation in that clear space, holding that higher frequency, and you start getting traction. The more you do that, the more you start trusting, the more you start, really understanding that you hold the power, because you're changing your operating system. You're changing your operating system to creator. So higher frequency, a clear field, discernment, integrity. You are the operator, and you're using a new system which is able to say yes and no as needed, as you're being guided by your higher self, the part of you that is always true. So what will happen to you when you physically, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally clean up your space? Really beautiful things are going to happen. Your mind will feel buoyant and expansive and able to connect to, the greatest solutions. The greatest problem solver is a clear mind. When it's cluttered, it's very hard to access the higher solutions for the challenges. And really the greatest inventors of all time, when I've read about them or researched them, they had a very expansive mind that was able to connect to the ether. They were able to connect to that expanded space, that universal intelligence, and they were able to use that, which is way more efficient and also great for the world. because that's where you're going to get your great ideas, not just for you, for everyone. So physically, you're going to find that your body starts coming into balance again. The reason that our bodies aren't in balance, so say we've had illness or, gashes, rashes, bumps, and illnesses, diseases, whatever it might be, that's because our body has come out of balance at frequency level. So your higher self, now that you're clear, what you're going to see is that your body comes into balance, and it's the whole body comes into balance. And so I see the body as an entire operating system. It's not just your kidneys or, your ears or your eyes. It's the whole beautiful system, which is made in perfection. And when you're clear and holding higher frequencies, your body is literally going to just start clicking back in, click back into balance, and all things will start resolving. So if you had rashes, if you had, pains, if you had whatever it might be, they will start coming back into, they'll start sloughing off is what I see. People will say that things start coming off of them, their weight changes or their eyesight changes or their spine straighten, whatever it is. When you're clear, your body can balance itself, and you're able to balance the whole system and release anything that would be holding your body back from that vitality. And so your life becomes much grander here. And then spiritually, so to me, this is the most beautiful part. So that heart space, you just start to feel that warmth and connection with yourself again. And you have a deeper love and appreciation for who you are. There's a deeper respect that comes in for you and who you are, because you've started to touch upon that and started to feel that in the clarity, starting to feel the higher frequencies. So that peace, that unconditional love, that sovereignty, that autonomy, that oneness with all. So you start really feeling that. And so, it just feels like the warmest place you could ever be. And because of that, you're not afraid anymore. So you're able to really help people. You're not burnt out anymore and not able to help others, because you really have filled yourself up again with this beautiful frequency. So you're able to extend your hand in a way that you will remain balanced and feeling stable in yourself and connected to yourself, but able to help a lot more people. And so everybody gains by you becoming really clear. And as you can see, all of those examples of all the different, parts of who we are, the feedback we get from ourselves is really, really beautiful. And the other part of, when we get really clear is our emotional state. And what I find is that our emotions don't swing like a pendulum, where we could feel really angry or, anxious and swing, or elated and then drop into fear or, humanity, when we're not clear, we tend to be riding a roller coaster of emotions all of the time, depending on what the outside world is doing to us. But what I find is that as we become really clear, we really stabilize. So imagine the center point of that, that scale that does this. We become really that center point, that pillar, where it's we still have emotions, we have them and they're beautiful, but we're not swinging. We're not wildly emotional anymore. We have beautiful emotions, we feel them really deeply, but we're really stabilized as we feel them very, very deeply. And in fact, I would say that we feel emotions even more deeply the clearer we become. So we're able to feel, the pain of another. We could feel that more deeply, but we don't get drawn into, we don't become the pain of another. We're able to see it through the eyes of unconditional love, grace, and we're able to help from that way because we can understand what the person is going through without judgment. But we are able to hold that center point. So yes, we feel emotions more deeply, but we're able to hold steady and actually be really helpful to all the people in our lives and all the people even that we don't know. We're able to help all beings by being really clear. What does cleaning up your space have to do with being limitless? Everything, actually, because we are naturally, our natural state is limitless. We aren't anything other than that. And so as we're cleaning up our space, all of the parts of us that were never true, the things we've collected along the way, the things that we thought we had to carry, that burden, we had to carry. Once we let go of that and we're clear, we naturally will come into that oneness, our natural state. And in that natural state, we feel no limitations. We naturally will feel like these grand ideas come in, really great problem solving comes in for us. There's no end to how we can resolve our day-to-day life. Being limitless is truly natural. And it's looking at all the things that were not natural. And once we become really natural again, which is clear, embodied, and in our natural state, we will naturally just be like, ideas will start flowing. We'll become more playful as those ideas start flowing. Life will become a lot more fun. So how do we track our progress once we've cleaned up our space? It's a great question. We track our progress by how's our life? How are we doing? How is it flowing? Are we still running into roadblocks? Are we still connecting with less than inspiring people, places, and things? Or are we finding that we're starting to feel more independent and more powerful in our lives? Are we feeling more free? Are we feeling are we starting to feel that anything is actually possible? Are we starting to really know deeply inside that life is here for us, that we are an expression of life? We're here to just naturally be life. And so what I see is that when you really start clarifying and flowing, you're in your limitless nature, and you'll start getting these little gifts around you where people will say, hey, did you do something? You look different, or you feel different. What's going on with you? And these little subtle things, sometimes they show up as subtle things, but these are little markers for you to pay attention to. Or you may even feel, that you don't resonate anymore with certain people, places, and things, and it's not even negotiable for you. So you'll know you're on your path, and it's starting to grow for you by how your life is going and how you feel as you're going. And I'm just really excited for you, because that's an incredible feeling when you really start flowing in that.